I did not go. She did. The ball took place on Saturday night in late May on the tennis courts of the Micah Country Club. When sunset was down to a faintly glowing ember in the west, and the moon rose in the east, I went forth on my bicycle. I coasted by the club. Festooned with Cantonese lanterns, the ball in the distance looked like a cruise ship at sea. I could not identify individuals, only stirrings of color. Much of it was powder blue. The day after Wayne Parr said he had chosen powder blue for his dinner jacket, 3/4 of the boys ordered from the same tuxedo junction. Back and forth I cruised in the night beyond the lights. Music reached my ears as random peeps. The desert flowers, so abundant in April, were dying now. I had the notion that they were calling to each other. I cruised for hours. The moon rose into the sky like a lost balloon. Somewhere in the dark shapes of the Maricopas, a coyote howled. In the days and weeks and years that followed, everyone agreed they had never seen anything like it. She arrived in a bicycle sidecar, just big enough for her to sit in. The sidecar had a single outboard wheel. The inboard side was braced to the bike. Everything but the seat of the bike and the sidecar bench was covered in flowers. A 10-foot blanket of flowers trailed the rear fender like a bridal train. Palm fronds flared from the handlebars. It looked like a float in the Rose Parade. Dory Dilson pedaled the bicycle. Eyewitnesses later filled in on what I could not see. Parents' cameras flashing, floodlights making a second day as the gorgeous couples disembarked from limos and burrowed their convertibles and promenade to the festive courts. Showers of applause. Suddenly, the flashing stops, the floodlights dim. A hush falls over the crowd. As a particularly long white limo rolls away from the entrance, here comes this 3-wheeled bouquet. The driver, Dory Dilson, wears a white-tailed tuxedo and a tall silk hat, but the passenger is the one who rivets the crowd. Her strapless gown is bright, a rich yellow, as if pressed from buttercups. There must be one of those hoop contraptions underneath, for the skirt billows outward from her waist like an upside-down teacup. Her hair is incredible. Descriptions clash. Some say it's the color of honey. Some say strawberries. It fluffs like meringue high upon her head. It's a wig. No, it's all hers. Both sides are certain. Earrings dangle. They are little silver somethings. But what? They are partly obscured by falling ringlets. Many answers are offered. The most popular is Monopoly pieces, but this will prove to be wrong. From a rawhide string around her neck dangles a white, inch-long banana-shaped fossil identifying her as a member in good standing of the Loyal Order of the Stone Bone. While others wear orchids, the corsage on her wrist is a small sunflower, or a huge black-eyed Susan, or some sort of daisy. No one is sure, except that the colors are yellow and black. Before proceeding, she turns back to the bicycle and bends over a small basket hanging from the handlebars. The basket, too, is covered with flowers. She appears to kiss something in it. Then she waves to Dory Dilson. Dory salutes, and the bicycle pulls away. People nearby catch a glimpse of tiny cinnamons and 2 peppercorn eyes peering out of the basket. Beautiful, unusual, interesting, different, regal. These words will come later from parents lining the walk. For now, there are only stairs as she makes her way from the entrance hall. Someone recalls a single camera flashing, but that's all. She's no one's child. She is the girl they have heard about. As she passes by, she makes no attempt to avoid their eyes. On the contrary, she looks directly at them, turning to one side and then the other, looking into the eyes and smiling as if she knows them, as if they have shared grand and special things. Some turn aside, uneasy, in a way they cannot account for. Others feel suddenly empty when her eyes leave them. So distracting, so complete, that she is gone before many realize that she had no escort and she was alone. A parade of one. Perched on my bicycle in a distance, I remember looking up and seeing this torrent of stars we call the Milky Way. I remember wondering if she could see them too, or were they lost in the light of lanterns? The dancing took place on the center of the tennis court, which had been converted with a portable parquet floor. She did what everyone else did at the ball. She danced. To the music of Guy Greco and the serenades, she danced the slow dances and the fast ones. She spread her arms wide and threw back her head and closed her eyes and gave every impression of thoroughly enjoying herself. They did not speak to her, of course, but they could not help looking over their shoulders of their dates. She clapped at the end of each number. She's alone, they kept telling themselves, and surely she danced in no one's arms. Yet somehow that seemed to matter less and less. As the night went on and clarinet and coyote calls mingled beyond the lantern light, the magic of their own powder blue jackets and orchids seemed to fade, and it came to them in the small sensations that they were more alone than she was. Who was the first to crack? No one knows. Did someone brush against her at the punch table? Pluck a petal from her flower? Whisper, "Hi." This much is certain. A boy named Raymond Studemaker danced with her. To the student body at large, Raymond Studemaker did not have enough substance to trigger the opening of a supermarket door. He belonged to no team or no organization. He took part in no school activities. His grades were ordinary. His clothing was ordinary. His face was ordinary. He had no detectable personality. Thin as a minute, he appeared to lack the heft to carry his own name. And in fact, when all eyes turned to him on the dance floor, those few who came up with a name for him frowned at his white jacket and whispered, "Raymond something." And yet, here he was, Raymond something, walking right up to her. It came out later that his date had suggested it, and speaking to her, and that they were dancing. Couples steered themselves to get a better look. At the end of the number, he joined her in clapping and returned to his date. He told her the silver earrings looked like little trucks. Tensions rose. Boys got antsy. Girls picked at their corsages. The ice shattered. Several boys broke from their dates. They were heading her way when she pulled up to Guy Greco and said something to him. Guy Greco turned to the serenades. The baton flashed, and out came the sounds of that old teen dance standard, the bunny hop. Within seconds, a long line was sneaking across the dance floor. Stargirl led the way. And suddenly it was December again, and she had the whole school in her spell. Almost every couple joined in. Hillary Kimball and Wayne Parr did not. The line curled back and forth across the netless tennis courts. Stargirl began to improvise. She flung her arms into a make-believe crowd like a celebrity on parade. She wagged her fingers at the stars. She churned her fists like an egg beater. Every action echoed down the line behind her. The 3 hops of the bunny became 3 struts of the Vanderbilt. Then the penguin waddle, and then a tippy-toed priss. Every new move brought new laughter from the line. When Guy Greco ended the music, howls of protest greeted him. He restruck the downbeat. To delighted squeaks, Stargirl led them off the parquet dance floor onto the other courts, and then through the chain-link fence and off the tennis courts altogether. Red carnations and wrist corsages flashed as the line headed onto the practice putting green of the golf course. The line doodled down around the holes, in and out of side pools of lanterns. From the dance floor it seemed to be more than it was. 100 couples, 200 people, 400 dancing legs seemed to be a single, festive, flowery creature, a fabulous millipede. And then there was less and less to see as the head vanished and the rest curled through the fringe of the light and followed, like a tail of a powder blue dragon, into the darkness. One girl in chiffon had a tiff with her date and ran off towards the first tee saying, "Wait for me!" She looked like a huge mint-green moth. Their voices came in clearly from the golf course. The laughing and yelping made a raucous counterpoint to the metronomic tick-tock-tick of the bunny's never-ending hop. Once, in the light of the quarter moon, they appeared in a silhouette undoomed, distant green, like figures dancing in someone's dream. And then quite suddenly they were gone, as if the dreamer had awakened. Nothing to see, nothing to hear. Someone called, "Hey!" after them, but that was all. It was, according to those left behind, like waiting for a diver in water to return to the surface. Hilary Kimball, for one, did not share this feeling. "I came here to dance," she declared. She pulled Wayne Parr along to the bandstand and demanded regular music. Guy Greco tilted his head to listen, but the baton did not stop, and neither did the band. In fact, as the minutes went by, the music seemed to become louder. Maybe it was an illusion. Maybe the band felt a connection to the dancers. Maybe the farther the line spun into the night, the louder the band had to play. Maybe the music was a tether, like a kite string. Hilary Kimball dragged Wayne Parr to the middle of the parquet floor. They slow danced. They fast danced. They even tried an old-fashioned jitterbug. Nothing worked. Nothing went with triple-thumping drumbeat, but the hop-hop-hop itself. Hilary's orchid shed petals as she beat her fist on Wayne Parr's chest. "Do something!" she yelled. She ripped sticks of chewing gum from his pocket. She chewed them furiously. She spit a wad as she pressed the gum into her ears. The band played on. Afterward, there were many different guesses on how long the bunny hoppers were actually gone. Everyone agreed it seemed to be hours. Students stood under the last line of lanterns, their fingers curling through the plastic-coated wire of the fence, peering into the vast blackness, straining for a glimpse, a scrap of sound. All they heard was the call of the coyote. A boy dashed wildly into the darkness. He sauntered back, his blue jacket over his shoulder, laughing. A girl with glitter in her hair shivered. Her bare shoulders shook as if she were cold. She began to cry. Hilary Kimball stalked along the fence, clenching and unclenching her fists. She could not seem to stand still. When the call finally came, "They're back!" It was from a lone watcher at the far end. 100 kids, only Hilary Kimball stayed behind, turned and raced down the 8 tennis courts, pastel skirts flapping like stampeding flamingos. The fence buckled outward as they slammed onto it. They strained to see. Light barely trickled over the crusted earth beyond the fence. This was the desert side. Where? Where? And then you could hear the whoops and yoo-hoos out there. Somewhere, clashing with the music. And then, there, a flash of yellow. Stargirl leaping from the shadows. The rest of us followed out of the darkness, a long, powdered blue, many-headed, birthing hop-hop-hop. They were still smack on the beat. If anything, they seemed more energized than before. They were fresh. Their eyes sparkled in the lantern light. Many of the girls wore browning, half-dead flowers in their hair. Stargirl led them along the outside of the fence. Those inside got up a line of their own and hopped along. Guy Greco stalked the downbeat 3 final times. Hop, hop, hop. And the 2 lines collided at the gate in a frenzy of hugs and shrieks and kisses. Shortly after, as the serenades gratefully played Stardust, Hilary Kimball walked up to Stargirl and said, "You ruin everything." And she slapped her. The crowd grew instantly still. The 2 girls stood facing each other for a long time. Those nearby saw in Hilary's shoulders and eyes flinching. She was waiting to be struck back. In fact, when Stargirl finally moved, Hilary winced and shut her eyes. But it was lips that touched her, not the palm of a hand. Stargirl kissed her gently on the cheek. She was gone by the time Hilary opened her eyes. Dory Dilson was waiting. Stargirl seemed to float down the promenade in her buttercup gown. She climbed into the sidecar. The flowered bicycle rolled off into the night. And that was the last any of us ever saw of her. I was 31. Hi. Didn't expect that, did you?